different than y'all's, but it's still pretty cool. So I wrote my essay on psychoanalysis and what role does it play in Ernest Hemingway's literature. He's my favorite author, so this is pretty interesting to me. First of all, psychoanalysis is an outdated theory by Sigmund Freud. We don't really use it today in psychology, but in 1909 when Ernest Hemingway wrote A Farewell to Arms, it was the newest theory that everyone believed in, and so it is really relevant to them, not so much to us. But basically, we could use psychoanalysis to help us understand why an author writes the way he does, or what his life has to do with the things that he's writing about, and that's especially true for Ernest Hemingway. A Farewell to Arms was written in 1909, right when, like I said, right when Sigmund Freud was coming up with this theory. Basically, you have two main characters, Frederick Henry and Catherine Barclay. Frederick Henry was an ambulance driver in a war, and Catherine Barclay was the nurse's aide who kind of nursed him back to health. And there's a lot of correlations between Ernest Hemingway's story and that of Frederick Henry, which I'll talk about in just a second. So Catherine Barclay is kind of like the heroine of the story, and oftentimes Ernest Hemingway actually did refer to her as the hero of A Farewell to Arms, because without her, it would not have gone the way it did. But so a lot of literary critics are asking, what is Catherine teaching him, and why is Catherine able to teach Frederick Henry the lessons that he should already know, like how to love. Like most of you guys know what love means, or you know how to show someone compassion, but Frederick Henry didn't. And basically, the reason that they think that he didn't was because of a theory developed by Abraham Maslow, which is the theory for like your hierarchy of needs. So basically, there's like levels of needs that you have to meet before you can like move on to self-actualization. And so it's believed that Frederick Henry didn't meet the level of need and love and belonging, so he couldn't really go any further than that to develop himself. And also, Catherine Barclay has a lot of similarities with a woman named Agnes Karowski, who I'll talk about in just a second. Frederick Henry, basically like what I just said, he was kind of needy, I guess. He was wounded in the war, which is how him and Catherine met, and the physical wounds also brought emotional wounds to the surface, and that's kind of, we see him kind of step back into time, and he kind of becomes more childish and more needy towards her, and his attitude towards her changes drastically. At first he treats her like she's just kind of a toy, but then after he's wounded, he actually realizes that he does need her and that he does love her. And so again with the Maslow's theory that he didn't reach one of the levels, so he can't really like move on, which is why he is learning all of these things from Catherine Barclay, like how to love, and then at the end of the book she initially teaches him how to die, because she dies and she's still loving him and like investing in him, and he should have already known all of these things, all these basic lessons of life that we know, but Abraham Maslow would say that he didn't, because he didn't reach those levels. And basically, like Hemingway's part, a lot of literary critics are asking, is Ernest Hemingway writing his autobiography through Frederick Henry and Catherine Barclay in the story of A Farewell to Arms? And there's several similarities between the two stories, enough to say that he is. Ernest Hemingway had a relationship with a woman named Agnes Karowski, and he was also in the war, and he was injured and nursed to health by her. And so the similarities between the two stories are basically like both men were soldiers and both men were injured, and both of the women, Catherine Barclay and Agnes Karowski, were nurses. They both fell in love with the soldiers that they were nursing back to health, and also they both initially carried the child of their significant other, and both of them did have the children. The only difference is that Catherine Barclay actually did die giving birth to the baby. But so basically, psychoanalysis can really help you understand why an author is writing the way they do, and that's significantly true with Ernest Hemingway, because there's a lot of stuff, he's kind of like a feast for psychoanalytic critics. There's so much to be debated and stuff. It's really interesting, so you know, if you guys get interested, if this sounds cool, he's got a really interesting story that I think you guys would enjoy. So